In this lesson, we'll look at how to write an equation of a line given the slope and a point of the line, and how to write an equation of a line that is parallel or perpendicular to a given line. How do linear equations apply to business? When a company manufactures a product, they must consider two types of cost. There is the fixed cost, which is what they must pay no matter how many of the product they produce, and there is the variable cost, which depends on how many of the product they produce. In some cases, the total cost can be found using a linear equation such as y equals 5,400 plus 1.37x. Our friend the slope formula can be used to show us why the slope-intercept form works. So we just start filling in m equals change in y, so it's going to be y minus b, over change in x, x minus 0. Well, when you subtract 0, not much happens, so we could just rewrite that as m equals y minus b over x. And I'd like to solve this equation for x, so I could multiply both sides by x. So now I have mx equals y minus b. And if we add b to both sides of the equation, we get something that looks quite familiar. It's a little bit backwards, but that's okay. I have y equals mx plus b. So now we know where our very favorite form of linear equation comes from, slope-intercept form. The slope-intercept form of the equation of a line is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Unfortunately, the equation of a vertical line cannot be written in slope-intercept form because it doesn't have a slope. Its slope is undefined. Write an equation in slope-intercept form for the line that has a slope of negative 3/5. I'm going to put negative 3/5 in where there was an m, and passes through the point 5, negative 2. So I know that one of my y values is negative 2, and the corresponding x value that goes with that is 5. The only thing I don't know is b. So now I can solve for b. So y equals, make that a fraction, I can cancel the 5's. Oh, nice, negative 3 plus b. If we add 3 to both sides, we get b equals 1. So my equation is going to be y equals, we already knew m was negative 3/5, and we found out that b was 1. Now, because they gave me a point and a slope, this would be a nice one to use our point-slope form on. Point-slope form of an equation is y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1, where x sub 1 and y sub 1 are the coordinates of a point on the line, and m is the slope of the line. What is the equation of the line through the point 2, negative 3, and negative 3, 7? So we're going to start off finding our slope, change in y. So we're going to do 7 minus negative 3 over change in x, negative 3 minus 2. 10 divided by negative 5 would be negative 2. And then I can pick either point I want. It doesn't matter. I'm going to use the first one. Why not? So using my point-slope form, I'm going to have y minus the y part of my point. So minus negative 3 becomes plus 3 equals the slope that I found was negative 2 times x minus the x part of my point. And then they have their answers are all in slope-intercept form, so I need to distribute the negative 2 and subtract 3 from both sides. So I get y equals negative 2x plus 1, which, happily for us, is one of the choices. That looks like the one that we want is choice D. As a part-time salesperson, Jean Stock is paid a daily salary plus commission. When her sales are $100, she makes $58. When her sales are $300, she makes $78. We'll write a linear equation to model this situation. Okay, the sales are the independent variable, and how much she makes is the dependent variable. So we want our independent variable to be the x and the dependent variable to be the y. Okay, we need change in y over change in x. Nice numbers. So 20 over 200. So that's going to be 1/10, or this isn't money, so we'd probably want it as a decimal, 0.1. I'm going to use point slope form, so I'm going to have y minus, I'm just going to use the first one, why not? 58 equals 0.1 times x minus 100. Distribute. So I have 0.1 x minus 10, add 58 to both sides. So I get y equals 0.1 x plus 48. So every day she must make $48 for her salary, and her commission must be 10%. Now, this would be nice to do in GeoGebra. I've done that with some classes. If you put in your equation to find out how much her sales would be, or how much she would make if her sales were $500, we could just read the graph and get the intersection, but it doesn't come out real even. So in GeoGebra we could get it, but without GeoGebra, we're just going to do it algebraically here. So we're going to have y equals 0.1 times 500 plus 48. So 50 plus 48, she would make a whopping sum of $98. Hope that's a part-time job. She's not making a living off of that one. Write an equation for the line that passes through the point 3, -2 and is perpendicular to the line whose equation is y equals -5x plus 1. They were nice. They wrote our original equation of slope and intercept form, so we know our slope is -5 for the original line. So the slope of the line perpendicular to that is going to be the opposite reciprocal, so positive 1/5. I can use point slope form, so y minus the y part of my point is -2, so we have plus 2, equals the m that I have is 1/5 times x minus the x part of my point. I'm going to distribute, so we have y plus 2 equals 1/5 x minus 3/5, and subtract 2 from both sides of the equation. Algebra books like to leave their fractions improper, so subtracting 2 would be the same as subtracting 10/5. So -3 minus 10 would be -13/5. In summary, we just restated the two forms that we use. Slope intercept forms, y equals mx plus b, and point slope form, y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1.